I don't like it.
It's almost done.
So Chris, you were using a device on Juliana Pena very recently. Could you describe what the device was or what it is and why were you using it?
Oh, that was the Compex Stim muscle stimulator. The reason why we used it today, because our reasons changed. We just potentiate her muscles to get them firing and warmed up. And once they're firing and warmed up, my hope is that when we train that muscle, we get a little bit more out of it because of that potentiation. That it's like a mini workout, kind of like.
So besides potentiation, can you use it for injury prevention or recovery from injury?
Yeah, there's a setting on there. There's 2 settings for recovery. And I think it helps to remove lactate or waste byproducts so you recover faster. Anytime you have more hypertrophy, more muscle around a joint, the more protected the joint is. The really cool thing about the Stim is it bypasses your nervous system. So if you wanted to train somebody but their nervous system was still beat up, you could use the Stim in a variety of different ways, and it's not going to be hard on their nervous system. And I think it also changes the recruitment of fibers. So when you lift weights normally with voluntary muscle contractions with weightlifting, it goes, there's an order in which your fibers are recruited. It goes from your slow twitch fibers, and as they get fatigued, it calls upon your bigger, stronger, more powerful fibers, your fast twitch fibers. The Stim, it recruits your fast twitch fibers first. I'm like 99% sure. I'm losing my train of thought.
Well, let me ask you another question. So in training an MMA athlete like her,
yeah.
How often should you use this, or is there no set number? Is it good to use it once a week? Is it good to use it only when there's injury or fear of injury? I mean, how do you know how much to use it?
Man, that's a great question. And to be honest, I don't have a great answer for you right now, but I'll tell you this. Charlie Francis was one of the best sprint coaches in the world. He was the Canadian Olympic sprint coach, Ben Johnson's coach. Guy's brilliant. Anybody that's in this industry that's an avid reader, so we're not talking your normal personal trainer down at like LA Fitness or some big global gym that's only been doing it 3 years. I'm talking the serious trainer or strength coach. They know who Charlie Francis is. Charlie Francis was really big on the Stim. And one of his books that I read, what he would do it where you would do it about 3 times a week on one muscle for about 2 to 3 weeks. And then you were, at that point, there's diminishing returns. You're really not getting a whole lot out of it. So then he would switch over to either another muscle or he just wouldn't do it at all. I think you can use the Stim a lot. Because again, the thing is, it's not hard on your nervous system. The issue with training MMA fighters, more than anything, is the nervous system recovery. And it takes supposedly about 5 to 6 times longer for your nervous system to recover than your muscles. So if this doesn't really have an effect or much of an effect on your nervous system, you're going to be able to use that a lot. I play around with it a lot, and that's the beauty of when you train people, is you're always trying to figure this stuff out and make it better and become better. Sometimes, of course, you're going to look at science, you're going to look at research, but that's not going to give you all the answers sometimes. So sometimes you have to have a lab, which is what I call, this place is like my lab. So this is like what I like to call it, because you're going to experiment. You're going to experiment with stuff. Now, you're going to make experiments based off of sound science and research, so you're not, when I say experiment, you don't want to be experimenting with stupid stuff. You're only going to experiment with things that you truly believe. But, you know, and if they don't work the way you want, you have to be okay with that, and then you make changes. That's why you collect data. That's why you're going to look at the athlete maybe and see their perception of the world, see how they're feeling. If they're apathetic with things that they're normally not apathetic with, you're going to look for signs of overtraining. But that's another reason why I use HRV, heart rate variability, because that's looking at your autonomic nervous system, your parasympathetic system, and your central nervous system. That'll tell me how recovered the nervous system is. If the nervous system is still beat up real bad from a workout that was very nervous system intense, then we would do things that aren't hard on the nervous system. But here, I'll tell you something really interesting, I think, about muscle stim, okay? The first time I ever heard of muscle stim, to my knowledge, was in 2005. To my knowledge, okay, I might be wrong. I might have heard of it before, but I didn't hear much about it, that's for sure, and I never saw one. I got a job at the Poliquin Performance Institute in Chicago. It was in the suburbs, Northville, with Mike Beistel, and he owned it, and he had this muscle stim from Russia, right? This thing was big, man, and I think maybe I asked him about it, and he told me some stuff about it, so I went in there and I decided, you know what, I'm going to hook this thing up to my calves, right? And then I'm going to go train calves. So I hooked it up to my calves, and every time it would pulse, it would go do, 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 and then it would hit you hard, really hard. And whenever it hit hard, it would force my knees to bend. And then it would stop, and I would, boom, my knees would be okay. Because I turned it up as strong as I could get it, as strong as my pain tolerance. And then I went and trained calves. And my calves were smoked for like 5 days, man. And that was my thing back then. I always had skinny calves, so I was really obsessed about getting bigger calves at the time. And I trained calves a lot. Frequency are really important for calves, so I was like really obsessed with calf training. And when I did that with the stim, I'm like, dude, this is awesome. There's something to this, right? And then, now fast forward, a couple years ago, probably about 4 or 5 years ago, I was on Facebook, and there's this guy who has a PhD in like exercise science. God, I'm trying to remember his name right now. I think his last name is Jacob. It's funny, I just texted somebody this too because I forgot his name. Anyways, he put down, he's a really smart guy, and he's really big into hypertrophy. That's like his thing, right? And he had put a Facebook post about another scientist he talked about in Brazil. And he said that the guy said the best training for hypertrophy was involuntary muscle contractions concurrently with voluntary muscle contractions. So what does he mean? So he means hook up like a stim that's providing involuntary muscle contractions. Like you're not lengthening and shortening the muscle. You're not voluntarily using your muscles, it's doing it for you. But do that at the same time with weightlifting, right? So I did that, and then I did it with I've probably had maybe 6 to 8 test subjects over that time. And you would just destroy people, man. Just destroy them. I remember I did it to my one buddy from jiu-jitsu, and we went to go see a movie like 2 days later, and like he's walking and he's like not even bending his knees, and I forgot. I'm like, dude, why are you walking like that? And he starts laughing. Dude, the stim just destroyed him. And when I say destroy, I mean in a good way. I don't mean like destroy like injury.
Sure.
And then what I thought was interesting was he told me, like after the soreness went down a little bit, he felt stronger than ever on the mats on jiu-jitsu. And it was cool to hear because when I did it on myself, I felt the same way, but I don't always trust the way I feel compared to how somebody else feels, because I think I've been doing this so long on myself that I'm a bit of a masochist with this sometimes. Like, I remember trying to train so hard. I was in a Lifetime Fitness for years, and the gym was on the 2nd floor. And my goal was to train legs so hard I had to take the elevator downstairs because I couldn't walk. And so, you know, not everybody's going to have that mentality. So because of that, and like, I don't always trust my own thoughts or feelings on stuff. So when you hear somebody else say the same thing, you're like, yeah, you know, there's something to this. And I've done it with so many different things. And man, I love the Stim machine.